insights in the deadly proxy, in the most deadliest proxy war of this world. I'm quite worried that they have audio replacement going because the title was in German. So
a fitness instructor unknowingly records a military convoy rolling towards Myanmar's parliament to overthrow it. Filmed in early 2021, it's the only known footage of the coup and the start of a devastating war. 4 years on.
it is like wild in our society these days altogether, because like we have everywhere there are cameras, bro. Like everywhere there are cameras. Like you have like multiple angles being covered by cameras, and this like shows yet again what a coincidence.
On, the violence remains relentless.
No, this like also serves as general intelligence. Like you're able to see quite much from the world at all times.
82,000 lives have been lost and another 3.2 million displaced, while the central government controls just...
It's like wild to look at the metrics here as well. Like you have like a conflict which costs 82,000 lives. So like this conflict displaced over 3 million people. So like the amount of leverage in terms of movement a conflict can have on a land is quite profound. Quite profound. Like I don't know, like is a state, like I say, like country, yeah, country. Like on a country, it's wild, like how profound the impact can be.
A fifth of the country. Nearly all major ethnic groups are fighting one another, and in some areas, the breakdown is so complete.
I think this is the pinnacle of polarity. Like when you see like so many parties of conflict being involved within a war, like that's what I mean. Like why it's so dangerous to deal with polarity and not look at different views as an opportunity for addition of your own views. This is in a sense, like to me, the pinnacle of polarization taking place in an ultimalistic sense, where everyone deals in ultimates. This is then the result of it. Like when tolerance has died, then you have like so many parties participating within a conflict.
That people don't even use the national currency. The resulting power vacuum has turned Myanmar into a hub for narcotics production, human trafficking, and weapons smuggling. It has also quietly become a regional proxy war, drawing in China, India, Russia, and the United States. These competing powers now shape what has become a widely recognized failed state, and they may ultimately determine how long the conflict lasts. That's how it works in geopolitics. What isn't stopped is studied and tweaked for the next war.
This is like the general thing about like proxy wars. They wouldn't even work without the finance, like the financial aspect of it. Like basically the proxy warlords, they then decide when the war is ending, and like what then, like what it is that is then happening is that they basically try to extract as much value from the opposing party as possible in order to damage them, which is also in a sense quite paradoxical, because like when you have, for example, an arms provider which is residing within the country that is financing this war for their own interests, you're then faced with the fascinating aspect of money itself, because like money is like always flowing, like basically finds its way into every pocket, which is why, for example, you have like charming situations like cocaine being present on every banknote, because it's wandering from pocket to pocket, so it's in a sense like a river. And when you then have yeah, like dams which hold the money back. You can then sort of look where the money is accumulating in the end, which is why you have this power play between banks and the state, because the state owns the military and therefore can own the bank, though the bank owns the money and can therefore own the military in quotes, due to the financial aspect of it. Because without capital, people rarely fight. They often fight for like monetary reasons, or like the aspect of matter, which is like wild to look at, because like what is happening in the war is that people try to invest a small sum, for example, for drones, in order to destroy something of high value. Though the money often resides within the space where the conflict is taking place by itself. Because like when you have, for example, an arms producer who delivers arms to the conflicted country, and this arms producer resides at the place where the financing part is, like the money then stays there and it's not lost. It's basically just circulating, and then with the next tax round, it's like finding its way back. So yeah, it's quite a wild thing. Like it's basically, if you want, the displacement of capital. So causing disturbance in a sense.
Today's sponsor is Odoo, the ultimate all-in-one management software. It handles everything from invoicing and accounting to project management, website creation, and more. Normally, you would need multiple separate apps to do what Odoo does on its own. But the best part? The first app is free for life, including unlimited hosting and support. So, let's say you want to launch an e-commerce store. Odoo makes it incredibly easy. Just pick the e-commerce app, walk through the configurations with a few simple steps, and you're up and running. The AI builds the structure of your site, and from there, you can drag and drop content, customize layouts, and add your products. You can upload images, set prices, adjust descriptions. Everything is intuitive and flexible. Essentially, Odoo takes care of the heavy lifting so you can focus on what matters, selling. Check out Odoo today by hitting the link in the description and supporting me by supporting them. Thanks, Odoo.
Okay, there we go.
Myanmar is collapsing in real time. The closest thing to a central government is the State Security and Peace Commission led by General Min Aung Hlaing. Much of the country, however, has fallen outside the government's control.
Oh! Myanmar conflict. Oh, proxy war type shit. Like that's like the wild aspect, like the flow of money. Basically, like with proxies, so like it's supply line management. Like somehow they need to bind capital within Myanmar, so like extracting as much capital as possible. Like it's this is the result of highly polarizing politics. And now you have India, China, Russia, and the US utilizing Myanmar as a proxy. Quite wild. So let's see what else. Caspian Report, major shout out, has to say about the situation.
Patchworks of separatist strongholds now dominate vast areas, each pursuing its...
Yeah, by the way, like if you have like video essays and whatnot, like we're able to look into, like let me know, and we'll like pipe it up, like put it in the pipeline, and then we will like react to it.
Its own political goals. In the north, the Kachin Independence Army seeks full autonomy for Kachin state, if not outright independence. In the west, The Arakan army is pushing for a self-governed Rakhine nation with ambitions of breaking away entirely. In Chin State, various militias have turned against both the central government and one another, with each vying
Definitely will when you have some. Fuck yeah, I'm excited for those.
to represent a future independent Chin land.
Like that's the thing, like about intelligence efforts. So it's quite amazing. Like I assume this is my tinfoil hat I'm wearing right now. That like when you have like 4 conflict providers being present within a nation, I assume that the intelligence work was quite profound, and they basically looked out each party of interest and provided the necessary capital in order to cause this extreme binding conflict. Because like when you have like so many parties, it's wild. Like when will this end? Like by now he listed 5 parties of interest, which are likely all provided with capital. Wild, absolutely wild, this conflict. I'm like excited for what other parties of interest are present within Myanmar.
The East, Karen and Karenni armed groups continued their long-standing fight for ethnic homelands, while Shan State remains splintered between rival factions, some of which favor federal autonomy, others complete secession.
They're like the more parties of interest are being present, the more dominance in the end is then required in order to end this conflict, and or diplomacy. So looks like it looks like that this conflict will take quite some time in order to be then resolved in the end. Then like yeah, as usual, each life lost is one life too much. Because like that's the fascinating thing about conflicts, is it's often around same interests. Like I deducted, it's like mostly space, matter, and time. So rather than like working together, they're bashing their heads, and they don't see that they're getting played with. Like which is like also fascinating to then observe, because like in the end, like the human wants freedom, and that they like can't see that is quite fascinating. Because like if they simply like stop and basically live alongside one another, there wouldn't be such a conflict then like taking place. So let's see what are the current developments there.
These ethnic groups, the People's Defense Force, which was formed by the exiled civilian government, now operates across central and southern Myanmar. It is fighting to overthrow the military government and, supposedly, replace it with a federal democracy. Though not rooted in any single ethnicity, its growing presence has strained relations with ethnic militias, many of whom reject the idea of any future union altogether. Meanwhile, foreign powers have steadily taken sides behind the scenes. They're arming proxies, funding factions, and shaping outcomes from the shadows. China, with its deep investments and strategic stakes, has the most to gain or lose, but Beijing can't fully back one side without risking blowback elsewhere. Instead, it has opted to play all sides on the ground, hedging its bets, if you will. It supplies military hardware to the central government while turning a blind eye to Chinese-made weapons flowing to rebel factions. This balancing act has led to an unspoken rule in Myanmar. Despite ongoing hostilities, most armed groups avoid targeting Chinese assets such as pipelines, energy terminals, ports, and economic zones. India has tried to copy China's balancing strategy but has stumbled in the process. Its main focus has been securing the northeastern frontier, where separatist, nationalist, insurgent groups operate from inside Myanmar. These rebel groups oppose the Indian government and use Myanmar as a safe haven to launch attacks. To counter this, India has quietly cooperated with Myanmar's military leadership, sharing intelligence and carrying out cross-border operations. For instance, in May 2025, Indian forces engaged a group of insurgents in Manipur near the Myanmar border. Later, in July, an Indian drone strike eliminated several separatist commanders inside Myanmar. These incidents underscore India's anxiety over regional spillover. However, unlike China, India lacks strong ties with Myanmar's ethnic militias and has little economic leverage. America has taken a different approach. Rather than engaging directly, it has avoided arming the groups fighting the central government. Its support has been limited to non-lethal aid for the exiled civilian government, under which the People's Defense Force operates.
Which is yet again like quite telling. When you look at it, like you have, I assume like India has here interest of safety. China has interest of dominance, and I assume that the US has an interest in general peace. Because like when you look at the things, like how some parties then act with control, like you're often faced, like when it's about conflict, with people who like to take control over others. Like this is the general tyranny playbook. Like for example, when somebody goes ahead and emotionalizes a topic and then like provides a way out. Yeah, like you want this pain to stop. Yeah, like just simply do that and the pain will stop. Which in some ways then like proves, hey, we don't want conflict. We just want y'all to have a good time. And like from a strategic standpoint, like the action to provide aid rather than conflict material is quite telling altogether. Because like China turning a blind eye on arms then like being delivered within the conflict zone shows you who is the warlord and who is not the warlord. And I think like in terms of like power proposition, here in the sense like framing, it shows you who is the driving party behind this conflict. Though I'm also quite excited for what Russia is doing in that sense.
Most likely though, Washington is providing more covert assistance than it publicly admits. At the same
yeah, public image, like as mentioned, would make sense. Like don't provide conflict parties with weaponry and assets. So like when you then go the intelligence route with plausible deniability, it still secures the image of peace, which yet again is quite telling. I think that's a very honorable thing to do.
At the same time, the United States has been urging Thailand to play a more active role in Myanmar, mindful that some within the Thai military sympathize with certain ethnic groups. Thailand, however, remains cautious. It has little interest in fueling instability in Myanmar, knowing it could easily spill across its borders.
This would also be a scenario that could then like play out within this conflict zone. Basically like Thailand like invading Myanmar. Which is like understandable because war is such a costly matter. It would be devastating to the people, and like in the long run, like each human life being lost is one life too much. And this goes as well for the economic perspective, because like those men, they could work, they could create value, though then they would be bound within the conflict zone. running danger to lose their lives.
Thus, for now, the most Thailand...
Alright, I'm gonna hop out and get some sleep. Just wanted to pop in and say hello. I appreciate it, Runik. I hope you have lots and lots of good business going, brother. Like, you take care. Love you so much. Till later. And have a cozy, and amazing day when you wake up. Jesus, I'm like so... I'm so like bound to the video that I like forgot like how to do my my I don't know, what is it called? This one. Upsheet is the word. Farewell, my farewell, because I have like a standard for the farewell though. Don't mind me, I'm just yapping. Go eat, brother. Go eat. You gotta get that eat for the business going. Let me see much like you take care later. Good, and we continue.
And is willing to do is ignore the activities of the exiled People's Defense Force, many of whom operate from Thai soil, particularly around the border town of Mae Sot. Thai lawmakers are also cautious about challenging China, given its grand strategic interests in the country. You see, Myanmar is China's only immediate neighbor that offers direct overland access to the Indian Ocean. This route bypasses the South China Sea and the congested Strait of Malacca, where the US Navy could potentially disrupt shipping during a major conflict. This 1700-kilometer corridor is vital, not just for exporting Chinese goods, but also for importing fossil fuels from the Middle East and minerals from Africa. That's
now we're seeing where this is going.
Why China has built oil and gas pipelines from the shores of the Bay of Bengal to its southern province.
So it's a source of energy and trade, where China has an interest. That it's not getting lost, because it would be a very costly event if this trade route is then being lost, because it would bind assets on the other coast and also lead to the possibility that trading, like as he said, like within the conflict can be then disrupted, which would be devastating in the end. And when you now look at it, like we had this yesterday, funny enough, like the communistic approach is a very highly centralized, highly hierarchy based society, where there are some few key players who own everything, and they would then basically lose this power due to loss in liquidity. So I now see, like, in a sense of what I was like able to grasp so far, the difference in, if you want, provided opportunity basis for participants within a country-based economic system. Here, take into account an open capital market within capitalism and closed elite-based system. What then like resides within communism, for example, where intelligence is controlled and assets are controlled by a few key players, which, like, yet again shows you also the key difference in a sense, because like when not everyone is provided the, in quotes, equal opportunity, you're then faced with the situation that independent scientists, for example, could be rejected due to lack of empathy between the elite and the scientists being present, which yet again shows you how stagnant a highly centralized system is, because it simply kills innovation. it takes away dynamic elements of a society and therefore stagnates everything altogether. Which yet again shows you how important balance is. And I think looking at highly centralized power systems, it's disbalanced. When you look at how North Korea is, for example, in terms of development, it looks quite concerning. So yeah, I think it's quite telling what is happening there. Because like when China loses that round, that would be extremely expensive. So I'm quite excited, and I'm still curious for what Russia is doing there. So let's see what else this lovely gentleman has to tell us.
Of Yunnan, with plans to add highways and high-speed rail along the same route. As part of the plan, Chinese state-owned companies are working on two major projects in Rakhine State, a $7.3 billion deep water port at Kiok Phu and a $1.3 billion special economic zone that includes an oil and gas terminal. Both projects sit at the southern end of the corridor. And so, for Beijing, there can be no half measures in Myanmar. By any measure, 1988 marked a turning point for Myanmar, a pro-democracy movement.
Like, which also explains the reserved stance of Thailand within this conflict. Because as soon as Thailand takes a side, there's then like final conflict granted. So it's in a sense like the distribution of seats being present there within this conflict zone. It's a very, very telling and very, very interesting conflict, because I think the term, like it's depending on how this conflict will end. Though it's wild, like basically when this conflict ends with a party that can be controlled by the US, we will face China under pressure, under extreme pressure, because this way, like due to like tariffs, if I'm not mistaken, wait, I can like also check the other word for it, due to Zoll, due to customs, they could extract value from China, like currency. It is wild. Like it could literally like choke out China.
Took to the streets of the capital, but was then swiftly and brutally crushed by the military. While the West imposed sanctions, China reached out, boosting cross-border trade and selling over $1 billion worth of tanks, artillery, armored vehicles, anti-aircraft systems, and naval vessels. By doing so, China became Myanmar's key foreign partner. Yet, despite growing ties, the relationship was never built on trust. The fiercely nationalistic Myanmar military remained uneasy about its heavy dependence on China for arms and supplies. Many officers resented how Beijing treated the country as a client state. So, to reduce its reliance on China, Myanmar began building defense ties with Russia. It bought MiG-29 fighter jets and Mi-35 helicopter gunships, both of which are still used to this day.
That is very interesting, especially like taking into account the recent developments within BRICS. So Russia provided assets to Myanmar, which quite let's check the word. Advocating for for the stance on equal power distribution. Though, like when you look at it, like I think like it's overall, which is like quite because like if you want, you can like look at it as in a spectrum. Like you have like on one side you have residing like total freedom. Then you have like oligopolistic structure within Russia, and then you have like China, where you have like an ultra centralized power system. Wild. Absolutely wild, and also quite telling that Russian assets were provided to Myanmar. It somewhat like brings Russia into a different light within this conflict. Though, like I'm still like trying to grasp like what the end deal of it is. Like I think maybe like if Dimitri would be here, I think he would be tweaking out on this. I hope like he sees this video then. So it's wild, and I have the question like why and what is the stance then like from Russia in the end in terms of freedom with this semi-centralistic approach of oligarchy being present. Wild. Your phone died. Got me lurking on the PC now. I appreciate it. I would have sort of line. It's been an emotionally exhausting day. You have a headache. What happened then? I forgot what happened. God dang it. Like if you want to share it, like totally fine. So you've been emotionally exhausted. Oh, pain. So it's like I am on a heavy topic. Yeah, it's a really interesting. Like you have like Myanmar as a proxy for 4 parties, country stuff. Yeah. It's a wild conflict. Like and especially like taking into account like what we eliminated yesterday. Yeah, like freedom, baby. Like that's the way to go about things. Because like within China, you have like I was like just recently doing a comparison. You have like when you like dealing with a highly centralized powerhouse like communistic structures are, you can look at North Korea and see like how things are going. Again, those are highly dependent systems, and when you have, for example, an independent scientist who is or like who has different views with the power party being present, you have stagnating progress within the country itself. So it's way more progressive when you provide equal opportunity for everyone rather than going and distributing power across a hierarchy and keeping things very centralized and elitist. So there's China, for example, on Myanmar providing the necessary assets in order to keep this conflict going, not taking any measures in order to end the conflict, more like providing the necessary tools in order to keep up the conflict. And then you have Russia as an opposing party providing assets being utilized against China, which looks very interesting on the stance. Because like when you look at it as a scale, or like as a spectrum, you see like the US being the guarantor or like the guarantee for freedom. Then you have Russia some freedom, and then you have China in quotes no freedom, where they basically just like decide from the leading party or like the royalty of the Chinese people, then like deciding who is able to be part of the elite and who is not able to be part of the elite and whatnot. Russia being there providing assets which are then utilized against Chinese assets. It's a very interesting development. Like from what I was able to grasp, like India just wants to be freaking safe and they don't want to be like being drawn in. Then you have like Thailand not wanting to be drawn in. Then you have like the US trying to urge Thailand to step in and basically end this conflict. Though like as soon as Thailand would step in, then like China would be pissed on Thailand. It's a mess, and I'm like here sitting again and thinking, guys, y'all just want the same thing, bro. And like we can have the Chinese planet, we can have the US planet, we can have the Russia planet. Dude, like just work together, provide a unified space program for propulsion system development, and then like go out there, get your planets, sit there, create your freaking rules, and just like simply leave the people alone. Don't kill people, man. We need people. Like meanwhile we have like AI developments like on dude, like what the heck is going on, man? But yeah, like I'm interested how this is being furthermore interpreted by the Caspian Report, because this gentleman is quite profound within the gathering of intelligence and explaining conflicts altogether. So I'm just here giving my is it starch? I don't know, like let me check. Mustard. Giving my mustard. And analyzing the things from my humble position. So let's continue. It's so cozy having you here. And of course, cozy having all of you guys here.
This Russian-supplied air power has become increasingly crucial in recent years as government forces have struggled on the ground. Helicopter gunships now frequently attack rebel-controlled towns and villages across the country. Right or wrong, Russia has been instrumental to the central government in Myanmar. But with its attention and resources consumed by the war in Ukraine, it's unclear how much of that support still continues today. What we do know is this. While China and Russia cooperate closely in the Ukrainian battle space, they appear to be pursuing separate agendas in Myanmar. America, for its part, has responded by imposing sanctions on Myanmar's military government, targeting officials and their business interests. At the same time, a massive new US consulate complex, budgeted at roughly $248 million, is being built to replace and expand the existing facility in the northern Thai city of Chiang Mai. The consulate is widely believed to be part of a broader effort to expand American intelligence capabilities in the region. Once operational, Washington could use the new facility to supply intelligence to rebel factions and influence the course of the conflict. Elsewhere, there are indications the US may be deepening its involvement. Local sources claim the US is contemplating plans to establish a large supply base in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh to support insurgent groups like the Arakan Army and the Chin National Front. They also suggest the US could impose a no-fly zone over Rakhine State to neutralize the Myanmar Air Force from support.
And like this scenario would choke out China. Like in the long run. Like, of course, like not immediately though. Like China then like losing this trade route, being present within Myanmar, that would be costly AF, bruh. Jesus.
Supporting its troops on the ground. Although these claims remain unproven, the focus on Myanmar's western coast makes strategic sense. Establishing friendly or autonomous territories near the Indian and
it also would grant, yeah, like as he's like starting to elaborate, like in India, like a sense of security due to, yeah, like US assets being present. And I think like India like always was like an intermediate sales instance, which basically provides goods from Asia to the ocean, because like what is China doing there? China is basically bypassing India, so like it also in a sense like in India's interests for this trade route to be choked out, so that China is then like being forced to cross India and therefore provide customs to India rather than paying no customs in Myanmar. Or like lower customs, I don't know. Like in the end, a very interesting conflict, and I think like the outcome of it could dictate the fate of many companies residing within this trade route being present in Myanmar. So yeah, some money can be made there as well. It's absolutely wild.
And Bangladeshi borders would put pressure on China's overland.
Because there, exactly, like as this route is being present, like all the companies being present there, I hope you guys can see my mouse, they'd be choked out and likely be forced to reposition here so that trade can take place through there, which like re-elaborates why this would be a dangerous scenario, though take into account that Taiwan is like more like on the right side. It would be quite a bold move to place US assets at the shore of India and Myanmar. Like it could be advisable to go a hybrid approach here, where you go ahead and basically create new assets in order to provide such a solution. Though of course this would then raise red flags for China, because like new asset creation would probably further increase tensions, which then could lead to an escalation of the situation altogether, which furthermore implies that it's most important to redistribute the capability of chip production across the whole globe, so that this conflict maybe and hopefully comes to an end.
Corridor from Yunnan and threaten its access to the deep water port at Kyaukpyu. However, while Washington works to undermine China's corridor, Beijing is working just as hard to entrench it. Since the coup, China has sold over $260 million worth of weapons to the central government, while also quietly arming rebel groups, especially in the north. The bulk of these weapons has gone to the United Wa State Army, which in turn has supplied other rebel groups, including the Arakan Army. By playing both sides, China has now become the sole external power able to broker peace. It recently helped negotiate a truce between some rebel groups in northern Shan state and the central government. And with the Arakan army gaining ground in Rakhine state, thanks in part to United Wa State Army supplied weapons, it's just a matter of time before China intervenes there too. If this plays out, Chinese interests will inevitably clash with American designs, and the ground between may well taste the whip twice. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. If you approve of what we do, please leave a comment, hit the like button, and mayhaps share the video. In any case, thank you for your time, and Sawal.
Major shout out to Caspian Report. Like this dude, wild, and I think like his conclusive statement, like I'm also agreeing, like in the end, like how this will play out will dictate the fate of many instances present within those power structures. Looks like Russia might be just like profiting there. So maybe like in oligarch or whatnot, selling the guns and cashing in, though. Like in the end, like as formerly shown, it's about the straight route, which is responsible for energy exchange with like between like China and the world, if you want. Like, I'm quite excited how this will then like turn out in the end. Though yeah, each life lost, one life too much, and why not finally creating the capabilities which are necessary in order to give those people their own planets, where they then can propose on the Earth, yeah, I have this and that planet, and we have those and this rules, and then like you will see which planet thrives best. I think that'd be way more exciting than to, in a sense, shamelessly have life being lost at so many instances. So I hope that this conflict fast and soon comes to an end. And with that being said, yeah, I will symbolically, because by humble means, provide the link in the chat. So like if you guys want to look in to this channel, you're all happily welcome to do so. And yeah, that was basically it for today. So till the next time, I love you guys and peace.